Mid-12th century England, two children appear on the edge of a medieval village, skin green, speech unrecognisable, refusing all food except raw beans. Chroniclers record their world as one where the sun doesn't shine. Fast forward, a historian claims nearly 3 centuries of the Middle Ages never existed. Their records fabricated. Their kings, like Charlemagne, possibly imaginary. If these stories are true, then everything we know about our past could be an elaborate illusion. This is 7 eerie phenomena that defy explanation. Incidents so strange that even reason's sharpest tools can't cut through them. But what else lurks just outside the boundaries of what history dares to record? In the heart of Suffolk, sometime around 1150, harvesters in the fields of Woolpit stumbled upon 2 children standing near the ancient wolf pits. Their skin held an unmistakable green hue, their clothes cut from unfamiliar cloth. The villagers could not understand a word they spoke, neither English, French, nor Latin. For days, the children refused bread and meat, growing weaker until a basket of raw beans was set before them. They devoured the beans, desperate, as if it were the only food they had ever known. The boy, frail from the start, soon grew sick and died. The girl survived, baptised as Agnes, and found a place in the household of Sir Richard de Calne. As she learned English, her story took on a stranger shape. A land called St. Martin's, where the sun never rose, and everyone bore the same green skin. Centuries later, scholars suggest malnutrition or a lost Flemish dialect, but the records remain silent. Was Agnes a refugee, or a visitor from a world beyond the map? Coincidence? Maybe. In 1990, a German historian named Heribert Illig published a theory that unsettled the foundations of European history. According to Illig, nearly 3 centuries, specifically the years 614 to 911 AD, never actually happened. He argued that the early Middle Ages were an invention inserted into the record by later rulers and scribes. If Illig is right, figures like Charlemagne might be nothing more than fiction. His case leans on oddities in medieval documents, inconsistencies in building dates, and the leap from the Julian to Gregorian calendar, which he claimed left a suspicious gap. The idea is simple, but staggering. What if hundreds of years were simply written into existence? Most historians reject the theory outright. Cross-checked tree ring data, radiocarbon dating, and astronomical records all show a continuous, unbroken timeline. Archaeological digs across Europe fill in the so-called missing centuries with artifacts, coins, and ruins. Still, the question lingers. How much of what we know is truly set in stone? Coincidence? Maybe. July 1954, Haneda Airport. A man steps off a European flight, briefcase in hand, and queues at customs. His passport reads Taured, a country no one on staff recognises. The document is stamped with visas from previous trips, inked by border posts across Europe and Asia. When asked to point out Taured, he traces a finger on a map between France and Spain near Andorra. Officials check every directory, every diplomatic list. Nothing. The man's language skills match his story, but none of his credentials exist. He's placed in a guarded hotel room while authorities investigate. By morning, the room is empty. no sign of escape, no footprints, no trace of the traveller or his belongings. Official paperwork on the incident sits in the archive, stamped and filed, but the man from Taured is never seen again. June 30th, 1908. In the remote forests of Siberia, hunters and villagers looked up to see a streak of blue-white fire crossing the morning sky. Seconds later, a shockwave threw people to the ground, shattering windows and rattling doors hundreds of miles away. In the blast zone, 80 million trees lay flattened, radiating outward like matchsticks, covering more than 800 square miles. No crater marked the spot. At the epicenter, trees stood scorched but upright, stripped of branches as if by a giant's breath. Scientists have measured the blast at 10 to 15 megatons, stronger than any nuclear bomb ever detonated. Tree ring samples and soil still bear the scars, but no fragment of asteroid or comet has ever been found. For those who witnessed it, the sky itself had exploded. What came down over Tunguska left behind only questions and a silent, empty forest. In 1958, in the town of Hexham, England, John and Florence Pollock welcomed twin girls, Jennifer and Gillian. Just a year earlier, their two older daughters, Joanna and Jacqueline, had died in a tragic car accident. The twins soon began to display behaviours and knowledge that unsettled everyone around them. They recognised toys that had belonged to their sisters, calling them by name, insisting which belonged to whom, even though the toys had been packed away before they were born. The girls pointed out landmarks in Hexham their sisters had loved, describing details only the older children would have known. Some researchers saw this as evidence for reincarnation, while skeptics pointed to the power of suggestion or hidden family cues. Still, the uncanny memories persisted, raising a question that science and belief continued to debate. How much of who we are can truly be explained? Aviation analysts still puzzle over the string of disasters tied to Flight 191, American Airlines in 1979, Delta in 1985, Comair in 2000, each crash a separate tragedy, yet sharing the same number. Statistically, the pattern means nothing, but the coincidence lingers. 14 years before Titanic's maiden voyage, Morgan Robertson's novel described the Titan, nearly the same size, boasting too few lifeboats, doomed by an iceberg in April. Fact and fiction, disaster and design, circling each other in the dark. Coincidence? Maybe. In 1908, the Tunguska explosion flattened 80 million trees, yet no impactor was ever found. Across these 7 cases, from the Green Children, reported by Ralph of Coggeshall in the 12th century, to the near identical details between the 898 Titan novel and the Titanic's 1912 sinking, official records, eyewitness accounts, and forensic reports reveal patterns no one can fully explain. Historians have dismissed the phantom time hypothesis, but inconsistencies in medieval record-keeping persist. The Pollock twins' memories, the Taured travellers' documented disappearance, and the repeated tragedies of Flight 191 remain unresolved despite decades of investigation. While many experts point to psychological, statistical, or historical errors, the archival evidence leaves open questions in each case. These phenomena show that, even in the age of data and documentation, some events defy simple answers. The facts stand, Some mysteries remain, challenging what we know about coincidence, history, and the limits of explanation.